passage I'm going to read is from quite a way into the book, and it's my main character Esme reflecting on the jailing of a number of suffragettes. The Times of London gave the women in Winsome Green more column space. Tilda wasn't one of them, not this time, I thought. Charlotte Marsh was the daughter of artist Arthur Hardwick Marsh. Laura Ainsworth's father was a respected school inspector. Mary Lee was the wife of a builder. This was how the women were defined. Bondmaid. It came back to me then, and I realised that the words most often used to define us were words that described our function in relation to others. Even the most benign words, maiden, wife, mother, told the world whether we were virgins or not. What was the male equivalent of maiden? I could not think of it. What was the male equivalent of Mrs. or whore, of common scold? I looked out the window towards the scriptorium, the place where the definitions of all these words were being bedded down. Which words would define me? Which would be used to judge or contain? I was no maiden, yet I was no man's wife, and I had no desire to be. As I read how the treatment was administered, I felt the ghost of a gag reflex and the pain of a tube scraping membrane from cheek to throat to stomach. It was a kind of rape. The weight of bodies holding you down, restraining your clawing hands and kicking feet, forcing you open. At that moment, I wasn't sure whose humanity was more compromised, the women's or the authorities'. If the authorities', then the shame was all of ours. What, after all, had I done to help the cause since Tilda left Oxford? So I think historical fiction is particularly important because it helps us to reflect on the past and learn from the past, but it also helps us to read between the lines of the accepted history. And if we think that history has so often been written by the victors, history has so often been written by men, there's a lot missing in that history. And so I think historical fiction is a really accessible way for readers in particular to access alternative narratives. And as a writer, I just find it an incredibly enjoyable and satisfying and fulfilling way to spend my time exploring and examining and critiquing history to understand it better.